Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about how to diagram noun clauses. Now these are getting a little bit more complex. You've been working really hard in your diagramming and I can tell that you're getting most of it. There's a few little things about noun clauses that can be a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to make this video to hopefully clear up some of those things before you take your quiz. Now the main thing to remember about clauses is that they need a subject and a verb. Not like phrases that are just a group of words. Noun clauses need a subject and a verb. Now because they're noun clauses, this group of words functions as a noun. So that could be direct objects, that could be objects of the preposition, that could be subjects, that could be predicate nominatives. So it's really important to label your sentence first to figure out where your noun clause, what function your noun clause is serving in the sentence. So, if we move on to this one, what you need is chocolate. So we already know that is a verb. So we're going to color it in red right now. We know is a verb, and we know needs a verb too. So we have our two verbs. So you may also hopefully remember your signal words that will serve as little signposts for a noun clause. And what is one of them. So, I'm going to just bold that one right now. So, we're going to put it in brackets. We've got what you need. There's our noun clause because we have subject, verb, signal word. Okay? And here's the rest of the sentence. Is chocolate. So, chocolate, what part of speech would chocolate be? Well, let's look at our verb. It's really important to pay attention to your verbs. This is a linking verb. So we know that it can't be a direct object because direct objects need action verbs. So chocolate must be a predicate nominative. Okay? We can do the equals test too. What you need, replace the verb with equals. What you need equals chocolate. Makes sense. Doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. Chocolate is a predicate nominative. Okay, so I have our diagram set up down here. So, because we know that we have our verb, we have a predicate nominative, so this noun clause functions as the subject because every sentence needs a subject and a verb, minimum. So, once we know how our noun clause functions, then we know where to put it in our diagram. So let's start with this part. This is the easy part. So we've got is, we know that it is the verb. So we're going to slide it down here. We've got is, and because it's a predicate nominative, we're going to take our diagonal line and plop it there, and then we have chocolate. So far it's like normal. So for the subject, now we've learned how to do this pedestal or music stand, or some people call it a fork, whatever you want to call it. I call it a pedestal. And this is how you diagram a clause. It's set up so that it is out of the way of the rest of the sentence because it has its own subject and verb. You don't want to get it mixed up with the rest of it. But because it's functioning as a noun here, we have put the pedestal in the noun spot. Okay? So that's important to remember. Figure out what the clause is functioning as in the sentence, and then you can move that pedestal where you need to, where that word would normally be diagrammed. If it was a predicate nominative, we'd have the pedestal over where chocolate is. Okay? So we know in the clause that you is the subject. So we have kind of a mini sentence diagram up here. We have you as the subject, need is the verb, you need what, and what is the direct object. So remember, direct objects use the short, stubby, vertical line. Be very, very specific when you do this. Don't try to make this line, this direct object line, as straight as possible so that I don't think that you're trying to make a diagonal one. So need, action verb, need what? What? Okay, so that is how you would diagram a noun clause as a subject. Let's move down to this one. Maurice wondered if he did the right thing. So we have Maurice as our subject. We're going to just underline Maurice. I know you usually underline verbs in your book, but we'll underline Maurice. Maurice wondered. It's our verb, okay, and it's an action verb, okay, so we know that there isn't a predicate nominative in this sentence. Oh, and look at this. If is one of our signal words. So we're going to bracket or put parentheses around. I'm going to bracket right now. So we have if he did the right thing. There's our whole noun clause. But what is it functioning as? So we have our subject. So it's not our subject. We have a verb. It's an action verb. Let's test it with one of our direct object questions. Maurice wondered what? If he did the right thing. It does answer that correctly, so this is a direct object. It's a noun clause functioning as a direct object. So what we do, we have our normal diagram set up here, so we already know Maurice is the subject, so we'll slide Maurice down into there. And we know wondered is the verb, so we'll put it in the predicate section. Okay? And now we know that if he did the right thing is a direct object. We know that to put a direct object in the diagram, we need the short stubby vertical line. And we know that for noun clauses, we need the pedestal. So our pedestal is just going to go in the section where a direct object would normally go. Okay, so I'm drawing our pedestal over here. And let's see. So, if he did the right thing. Now, this one is kind of special because if is one of the special signal words that really only introduces the clause. It does not have any grammatical meaning apart from that. So, when one of those words, and that's going to be words like if, and, that, and, I'm looking it up right now, if, and that, and whether. Those are your three words that are going to use this dashed line because they serve no grammatical function except to signal or introduce the noun clause. Okay? So because of that, if you think back to our nouns of a direct address, remember how they had the floating line because they really don't add anything grammatical to the sentence. They clarify who you're speaking to, but they don't add anything grammatically to the sentence. So kind of similar to that, we have this dashed line and a line above. So if you think of this as almost like an invisible line that we have, and that is where if is going to go. And notice I've put it in the predicate section of the noun clause. Okay, that's where it goes. Any of these introductory words that serve no grammatical purpose, if, that, and whether, those are your three to pay attention to. Those are going to get dashed lines connecting it to the predicate of the noun clause and have it be kind of above it all. Okay, so if we go here, we've got if he did the right thing. Well, he is our subject of that noun clause, so we're going to slide him over to the subject section. And we have he did is our verb. Did what? Did thing. Okay, that's our direct object of the noun clause. Now, right and the right, are both adjectives. And at this point, if you look down here, diagramming adjectives and adverbs aren't required because we haven't covered that in the book yet. So don't worry about any adjectives, adverbs, and any prepositional phrases that do not have noun clauses in them. If the prepositional phrase does have a noun clause, then you need to diagram it. But at this point, no adjectives, adverbs, or normal normal prepositional phrases. So this is how you would diagram a noun clause functioning as the direct object. Okay, moving on to a couple more. What you choose is your decision. Okay, so we have our verb here, we'll color it in red. Okay, and decision is a predicate nominative because we have our linking verb here, and so that leaves one thing. Yours an adjective. It's possession of decision, so it's possessive. So we can ignore that one because it's an adjective. What you choose, there's our signal word too, functions as the subject again in this sentence. So we have you and choose as our subjects there. So we're going to slide is down because we know where that one goes. Sliding it down. And we've got our diagonal line because we know that decision is a predicate nominative. Sliding this down. And then we know to create our pedestal for our noun clause. We plop it here in the front because it's functioning as the subject. Okay. And so I highly, highly recommend, even on your quizzes, to label your sentence first so that you can clearly see where it's going to plug into the diagram. That's going to be really helpful. So we have you is our subject of the noun clause. We have choose is the verb. You choose what? What? Okay? Remember to, and what is your direct object? Notice the short stubby line, short stubby vertical line. Remember to keep the original capitalization from the sentence, okay? Notice what is capitalized because it's the first word of this sentence. If we had a proper noun, like somebody's name, we would still keep it capitalized in the sentence diagram, okay? Last one for right now. She was excited about what tomorrow would bring. Okay, we know she is our subject here. That's what the sentence is talking about. Was excited is our verb. It's a compound verb. About. That's a preposition. So this is giving us a signal that this is a prepositional phrase. So I'm going to put parentheses around this, but within that prepositional phrase, we have one of our signal words, what, okay? And so the rest of this piece is the noun clause. So for prepositional phrase, you need two things minimum, a preposition and an object of the preposition. So we found the preposition, so the noun clause must act as the object. And notice I put brackets around just the object of the preposition. I didn't include the preposition here because that's not part of the object. Okay, the whole prepositional phrase is preposition and object. The noun clause is just the object. Okay, so we know she is the subject, and we'll plop it over here. And we know was excited is the verb. Okay, now when you diagram prepositional phrases, they're kind of like indirect objects. You have a diagonal line going below, and you have a horizontal, this kind of L shape down here. Okay, and you put your preposition on the diagonal line. So I'm going to swivel about around, and it goes right here on the diagonal line. Kind of like in your infinitives, the to goes on that diagonal line. Your preposition is going to go there. But because our noun clause is functioning as the object, our pedestal is going to go where the object would normally go. Okay, we've got, where's our base? So we have this here, just our normal pedestal. And so we know she was excited about, so tomorrow is our subject. Pop tomorrow in there. Would bring is our verb. She was excited about what? And then what is our direct object. Okay? Tomorrow would bring what? Direct object. There we go. So the main thing to remember is to label your sentence first, look for those signal words, bracket your noun clause, and then figure out what part of speech that noun clause is functioning as. Whatever part of speech it's functioning as, that's where your pedestal is going to be. So whether it's a object of the preposition, whether it's a subject, whether it's a direct object, or you can have predicate nominatives too. So if we had a predicate nominative, it would look similar to this one on the direct object, just this line would be diagonal. So just pay attention, figure out what that noun clause is functioning as, pay close attention to the verb because that's going to give you a huge clue. Watch out for prepositions, and it can also function as an appositive, so look for commas. Commas will often signal a positive. Not always, but often. So hopefully this helps you with your upcoming quiz. Please email me if you have any questions at all. Thanks.